Flosstube, welcome to my channel. My name is Jess. I'm Cross Stitch Jess here and on Flosstube, and my pronouns are she and her. This is going to be a bit of a February recap video. I'm going to show you some FFOs because we had the theme of FFO February. I've done everything I said I was going to do, and I'm not used to that being the case. We've done WIPgo, we've done Flosstube Frenzy, and we've done some FFOs, and that's basically it. I think I've worked on one WIP that doesn't fit into one of those categories. So yeah, at one point, I'll be real, the FFOs came quite late in the month, and John was joking about how with all the alliteration, I could like title this video like Fab Flosstube Frenzy FFO February Flop, which I think possibly motivated me to go and actually do some FFOs, so that wasn't the outcome that we ended up with. So what do we have? I've got 5 cross stitch FFOs plus a sock. We've got, as I said, WIPgo. I've got 7. The WIPgo project is also a Flosstube Frenzy project, so I've got 7 of those to show you. 6 because one of the people didn't, because Beth didn't put a video out in January. As I said, I've got one other WIP and then just some very brief plans, which I'll get to when we get to. So where are we starting? So FFOs, we have, as I said, 5, and 4 of them are in hoops of very different sizes and styles. So let's start with these 2. 2 videos ago I put up a tutorial for how I did these, so if you want to go sort of see how I did these in real time, yeah, go check that out, and if you're interested in finishing hoops this way, that would be the place to go. So first up we have Autistic AF. So this is a pattern by BeesOnToastShop. I have stitched this using all the called for DMC. I used 18 count waist canvas to stitch it onto this printed cotton, which is, I don't know if it's gonna really show up, but the waist canvas is just a little bit sparkly. No, I'm not gonna be able to get it to catch the light just right. But yeah, and I finished this one in a hoop with my favourite hoop finish, which is this. Still trying to work out where to hold things for the camera. My favourite way to finish hoops is this spirograph style backing. I find it really therapeutic. I've done it so many times that it's an autopilot thing. So yeah, that's FFO number 1, and that's going to go on my hoop wall next to my home office desk. It's already got a hook. I've brought it back down to show you. And like I said, if you want to learn how to do the spirograph back, pop back a couple of videos and there's a full tutorial where I sort of do a top-down view and walk you through it. I do want to say 2 small things on that. I learned a lot from doing that video tutorial, and the top thing is make sure that the camera is in the place for like where I would naturally be holding it, because I did find I kept drifting off, so apologies for that, but I think it's still useful enough that you can follow what I'm doing. The other thing that I wanted to say is one of the comments was I suck at doing the knots when I need to add more thread, and a lovely viewer commented suggesting I look up a surgeon's knot, and I have since done another hoop and that has been incredibly helpful, so thank you so much for that tip. And I recommend the same if you're doing one of these and you need to attach 2 lengths of thread. Surgeon's knot, that's the way to go. So that's FFO numero 1. Number 2, we have this teeny tiny little hoop. This is a little snowman. It's stitched over 2 on 46 count. It was my first time trying 46 count. The pattern was a freebie. I don't have to hand the designer, but at Stitch in London, one of my table mates put together a cute little kit for this snowman for each of us. I opted to stitch it on the 46 count from Swan Bay Fabric that we got as part of our kit from Marie at Stitch in London, just because I really wanted to try 46 count. So yeah, I stitched this at Stitch in London. Focus. And then I finished it again on that same tutorial. So this is done in the exact same way, so the spiral back. Because this holds all the fabric nice and tight, you can actually take the hoop off and just have it be like almost like a round canvas style thing to hang on your wall. So if the whole like embroidery hoop vibe isn't your thing, that's quite a nice way to still do like a hoop finish or a small round finish, but not have it look like an embroidery hoop. And then for this, I take it one step further and add the little hanger, and then just add a felt backing to cover up that back. And what you end up with is a little round ornament you can pop on your tree or display in your house, but you would never know that there is an embroidery hoop in there. The one, not so much downside, but the one sort of consequence of finishing things this way is it does mean you end up with the outside of the hoop. So if anyone has any logical ideas of what I might do with outside hoops that don't have an inside, please let me know, because I can't decide whether to get rid of them or whether one day I'll be like, oh, I could do X or Y with them. I wish I'd kept them. So yeah, comments with any ideas, please, of things to do with the outside half of an embroidery. So that is FFO number 2. And like I said, it's in that video tutorial if you wanted to go and have a look and see about doing something like that yourself. And I will say, just launched it. You can do this for any size. So I could take the hoop off of this one and put the backing on and have the same. Like, you can make them as big or as small as you want, as long as you can find the right size hoop. Cool. Number 3, I'm gonna go in the order I think I actually did these. So number 3 is Carpe Acus. Use the needle. So I finished this back in September, I think, and I've actually stitched this twice. So I have one up on my Meta cross stitch wall. This is, I think it's almost exactly the same colour palette. I think I made a couple of small tweaks because I can't remember what I used. But this one I have turned into a little pouch. I'm so happy with how this has come out. I added a little felt strip. In here for some needles. It's got a lot in there at the moment because I've just come back from a weekend retreat, and I normally have a lot of needle minders and needles going on my Lowry, but to travel with my Lowry I don't like the needles being on there, so I basically took all the needles off and this was what I had handy to put them in. But normally I have like one working needle in here. I've got some teeny tiny scissors which I got from Rachel at Talking Dog Stitchery, and I actually saw her at the weekend and showed her this, and she was saying that she's got some in with some lemon print. So if you ever want teeny tiny scissors to fit in a teeny tiny pouch, Rachel at Talking Dog Stitchery is the place to go. And then I've just got a spare brand new John James needle. I think one of my GeckoRouge kits, I got some extras of the sort of single wrapped ones, which are really handy to have in little travel kits in case you break a needle. You've got a fresh one ready to go, which I now can't get to lay flat in the bottom again. There we go. The other thing that I really, really loved about this, which is not so much about the stitching or anything, I got most of the pouch done, I got the lining put in, it's all interfaced on the inside, and I got these sides sewn up. And then I promptly realised that I needed a little snap, and I was really gutted because, as I said, I left all the FFOing to the last minute. I thought I wasn't going to be able to fully finish this. It's going to annoy me. There we go. Yeah, I thought I wasn't going to be able to like fully get this done before the end of February. And then I promptly realised that my nan passed away last year and I inherited her sewing box, and I went and had a rummage and she had some snaps, some poppers. So I really loved the fact that, yeah, even though she's not here, felt like she had my back. And it was really interesting having a rummage through her sewing supplies and seeing what she had in there. But yeah, so that's my Carpe Acus Seize the Needle pouch. I'm so happy with how that's come out, and it's gone straight into my, you'll see it in a minute, my Always Bring Cross Stitch project bag. So this is my new little favourite travel kit of chuck it in a project bag, and I know I've got scissors and needles ready to go. So that was number 3. Number 4 is another teeny tiny hoop. Ooh. So this one, I don't know how well this is going to focus. So this is teeny tiny. This was based on a Lovecraft's World of Cross Stitch. I think World of Cross Stitch. Lovecraft is a website. Don't know where that came from. World of Cross Stitch magazine. I did a year's subscription in order to get my Lowry for free. If you ever want a Lowry, that would be my recommended way of getting it. It works out cheaper than just buying the Lowry, and you get a year's worth of magazines. But this pattern was one of the free kits. Obviously, they didn't necessarily intend for you to stitch it this small, but they finished it in, I think it was in a hexagon hoop that came with the pattern. And when I saw it, I immediately thought that would make a great needle minder. And then I got it all out and it was like 5 times the size I thought it was going to be. So I went online and tracked down these teeny tiny hoops and got out some scraps of 40 count. This is actually the second one I've made. So I did one, I think it was January last year, made it up into a needle minder and gifted it to Rosie from WOCS. We are stitching the Lorna Laine B together, so I thought this would be a really cute little gift that we could have matching needle minders. So yeah, made up hers and gifted it to her. Stitched mine, so this is 1/1 on 40 count, so I measured the hoop and worked out how small I would have to go to get it to fit. So I stitched mine up and then it's just sat there for a year. I didn't get around to putting it in the hoop. Let me go cover my face. So yeah, we finally got there, and the way that these work, it comes with 2 small round wooden pieces, one that goes sort of on the inside with the fabric wrapped around it, and then this one that goes on the back to sort of hide the edges of the fabric. And all I do is just sandwich I've got a pack of very small magnets. So I just sandwiched 2 or 3 of those on the inside to sort of bridge the gap where the fabric wasn't meeting in the middle. There was a little sort of nook to put some magnets in. And then I want to get a bigger magnet to go on the back, but for now I've just borrowed this from one of my spare needle minders. There is a small chance I might take this apart and put a stronger magnet on the inside, because I am finding that when I take this off of something, like if this is on my tablet holder as is, when I go to pull it off, this magnet, the backing magnet, is staying on the stand, so it's just, I think the magnets on the inside aren't strong enough, basically. Like it holds, satisfying noise, but yeah, the backing magnet is more magnetized to whatever it's stuck to than it is to the needle minder. Sorry, that was a long story, but basically I might redo it, but for now I'm just happy it's done. So that was number 4, and I really enjoy that we've got the 3. Ooh, can't get this hanger to stay where I want it to. There we go. I love that we've got the 3 differently sized hoops. It seemed like quite a nice. They might all look like the same style, but they're all different sizes and they've all had a different sort of finishing method. And that brings me on to possibly the most awkward FFO I've ever done, which is my double owl hoop. So this was a magazine pattern again from World of Cross Stitch. I'll put the banner up which says which issue it was. I I want to say it's like January 2025, which means it came out in like November or December, and I started it in December 2024. So this was a pain to do, I'll be real. I will show you the back. These bits are at risk of fraying, and I don't really know what to do about it. I had to basically trim that middle section with like an asterisk style star, because if these were too chunky, you couldn't fully wrap them round. But then as I've been lacing across to them, some of them have frayed, so quite badly in places. So I think it's fine, it's stable, it's not going anywhere. I'm not going to rush out and do another one of these, but I do think it looks incredibly cool with that double hoop. The one thing that I did find, where you have the top, let me show you this on the front, where you have this, brain's not giving me the word, hardware, where you have the hardware that connects the outer hoop, you obviously have this gap, and normally on a hoop, like on this outer hoop, it's not a problem because the fabric on the inside is being pulled inwards, so this still sort of sits flat. For this smaller hoop, I did find that because the fabric is being pulled outwards, or like up past the hardware, on the front you got kind of a weird bit here where the fabric didn't sit flush against the hoop. So the one thing that I had to do that wasn't in the instructions, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. So see in here there's like a tail on the inside, and there's, ooh, coordination Jess, another one under here. I basically took my chunkiest pearl cotton and wrapped it around on the inside here, almost like in front of the outer hoop, and then just pulled it like as tight as I could. I hurt my fingers trying to do it, but it basically means that there's a piece of pearl cotton behind that outer hoop with the hardware on it that kind of holds just here. You can maybe see it's a little bit wrinkly there. It just holds that bit a little bit better against it. You can literally see exactly where it is. Ooh, just here, where it doesn't sit as flush against the hoop. But I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. It's not perfect. There are some wrinkles when the light catches it just right. You can see that there are a few wrinkles, but like this was not easy, and I'm pretty happy with how it came out regardless. Okay, so not so much cross stitch. So those 5 were the 5 cross stitch FFOs, but I think if you watched my whip parade to the end, you will have seen my sock. And I very jokingly said, I'm really proud that I turned a ball of wool into a sock, but I hate everything about it. So what I have done is taken the original pattern, which was the No Fear Shorty sock knitting tutorial from Earth Tones Girl, which I highly recommend. It's really good. And I've changed almost everything about it. So I did a shorter cuff, a longer leg. I started my heel flap patterning before I split my stitches. I did a longer heel flap anyway. I fixed the colours, because on my original, the colours here where I came from the heel flap and the heel turn back up, the colours it annoyed me. I made the whole sock slightly longer because the other one didn't fit me very well. And then for my toes, I've done an anatomical toe. I don't know how obvious that will be. But basically I've shaped this so this side curves in like a long slow curve, and then this one kind of has just a little curve at the end from a big toe. So I've done this by literally drawing around my foot on a piece of graph paper, and figuring out where I need to do my decreases. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I can put it on my foot and not want to immediately rip it off. So that is progress. Yeah, I've got a couple of tails. I've got this from the colour change in the middle, tails to weave in. and then this one is done, and then I'm gonna knit a matching one and do the toes the other way for my other foot. But yeah, I'm really happy that I went back and made all the adjustments, and I think it's taught me as well that like knitting patterns are a start point and a guide. I think it means that for now I only really want to do small things, because my friend Shelley, who again I saw at the weekend, she's knitting like a t-shirt, and she was saying she got almost all the way to the bottom and realised that maybe the sizing wasn't quite right. She had to rip it all the way back up to the armpits. I just can't face the idea of realising that something isn't working out and having to undo that much. Like this I don't mind, but something on that scale I think it would just be really discouraging for where I'm at in my knitting journey. So yeah, for now we're sticking small. So I started the month with 17 finished stitched projects, and I had lofty goals to FFO all of them. I've said this before, I will say it again. My vibe for the year with goals is if I get more done by having the goal or having the theme of the month or having the target, whatever it might be, if I get more done by having that in place than if I hadn't had it in place, then it was successful. This was successful. FFO February, big tick. For a bunch of the other projects, what I did manage was making decisions. So for most of them now, I know how I want to fully finish them. For a couple, for example, I bought frames. If anyone knows where to buy a 4-inch square white frame, I've bought them before, but I thought they were from IKEA. They are not. No dribbling on the projects. I thought they were from IKEA, but apparently not. I don't know if that's that they used to do them and they've stopped, or that I bought them from somewhere else and I don't remember. But small square, no, I don't have one here. Small square white 4-inch frames. Please let me know. But yeah, I've got plans. I've got a couple of frames that I've bought. I've got foam core cut out. Just need to lace stuff and put them in the frames. For some others, like I've decided I'm going to make one into a project bag. I'm going to make another one into a dice tray. So I've got plans, and that's progress as well. Yeah, we got some cross stitch stuff done. We got the knitting. We got some house stuff. I'm feeling good about how FFO February went. So success. We are not an FFO February flop. So in terms of other stitching, like I've said, 90% of it has been sort of goal or game based. First up for WIPgo and Flosstube Frenzy, we have Beyond the Horizon. Oh, it's caught on me. Can I hold it back far enough? There we go. So this is Beyond the Horizon. It's my oldest whip, and we are doing this for WIPgo. Words failing me. You've seen the whole thing. I'm going to fold it up because it's completely unwieldy to hold. So we are doing this. I'll put my WIPgo board in as well. Each call has 2 thread numbers, and my goal is to do at least one of them. The 48 are the 48 colours with the fewest stitches. So hopefully by the end of the year I will have at least 24, if not 48, somewhere between the two colours completed on this project, and it will get rid of hopefully a bunch of the small confetti bits and bobs here and there. This month's colours, I got them out to show you. So we had 2 lovely sort of deep reds and a cream and a green. And the way I did it this month, I think in January I just smashed through all 4 of them on like the 1st to the 3rd of January. This time, because I knew I had Flosstube Frenzy for the first time, I did 2 colours at the very start of the month, and then circled back and did the other 2 colours towards the end of the month once Flosstube Frenzy was done. So kind of doing the minimum, the sort of minimum take you've done it on this first, and then circling back if I had time. I think I'm probably going to do the same again this month, because of all of the goals, this is the one that I want to keep up with. So even if Flosstube Frenzy goes completely out of the window, this is the one that I want to be showing you every month all the way to the end, to get some of those colours crossed off. And then for, flip around and show you the opposite corner, for Flosstube Frenzy, this project is matched with Emma from Emma X Stitching, because she now is also working on this project. So I think what I found for Flosstube Frenzy is people post a lot of videos in January, specifically with whip parades and plans videos and all that kind of thing. And I know Emma, for example, does a 1 second a day thing where she records a 1 second clip every day. So she puts that together at the end of the year and shares that on Flosstube in January as well. So there were quite a lot of stitches. I can't remember exactly how many now. But this sort of royal blue colour that you can see across this section was what I added. So for that Flosstube Frenzy side of it, I'm picking one of the colours with the most stitches. So I'm kind of coming at it from both directions on the colours list. So this one has a new 4 colours for this month. They're quite different compared to last month. So we've got, hold it up on the project again. Excuse the slightly scruffy scraps and things on the floss drops. So we've got a lovely red, a sort of yellowy green, a blue, and a sort of pale purple. So we'll pick 2 of those probably straight after this video to crack on with sooner rather than later, and then yeah, come back to the other 2 at the end of the month. What I'll probably do, or what I did last month, I basically picked like the fun bright colours to keep for the end of the month, because I'm always like excited to pick up fun bright colours. So I'll probably do this pale purple first. And interestingly as well, I looked through, and for each of the pairs, I can't remember, I think this is one pair and this is the other pair. So I'll probably do the sort of yellowy green and the pale purple. But for each pair, when I looked at them on Pattern Keeper, there was one that was kind of like scattered confetti where it was sort of dotted all over, which I think would have been the purple for this one. And then the red was like quite distinctive chunks. So I think it would be quite nice having a mix of like traveling between almost every stitch. Like I normally only travel up like 20 stitches or so, like an inch. And then having like the nice easy one at the end of the month that's like some nice distinctive chunks. And I think the same for this one. I can't remember which way around, but one of them was quite scattered out stitches and one was chunks as well. So yeah, nice variety for this month. And then in terms of Flosstube Frenzy, I think Emma posted one video at the start of February with her January recap, and she intentionally sat and worked on this before filming to get me to do some extra stitches. So I think it's 400 that are going in on this month. So that is project number 1. Number 2, let me just take off the snaps. So project number 2 is Bee by Lorna Laine. This one is on 20 count from Swan Bay Fabrics, and I'm stitching this. You can see I've started putting grid lines in. I'm stitching this, as I said before, with Rosie from Rosie X Stitches, and again this one is aligned with Rosie but based on her Instagram posts rather than Flosstube. Again, I made really good progress on this. I worked on it. We a group of us, I think originally from one of the Ladybird retreats, do watch parties. So we pick a series and we'll watch like the first and last episode of each season together on a voice call. And I have started stitching this one, as you can see, sort of extreme cross country across that top 100 rows. And it's quite funny because this is a GeckoRouge and they just number their threads, like in this case I think it's 1 to 89. Every now and then I'd just pop off mute on the call and be like, can someone pick me another number please? So yeah, I might keep this going as my watch party project because I quite like seeing the progress on it. But yeah, Rosie is, I think, the one person who posted more in February than in January, which I'm not complaining about at all. So I think this has got another 1,300 stitches to go in. And I did make a cheeky start on that over the weekend. So some of this sort of orange area, I think, was about 600 stitches. So I'm probably about halfway already. So this is all of January and half of February already put in. Yeah, really enjoying that. I think it's a really nice one because I know several people who have it. So Emma from Emma X Stitching was working on this a little bit over the weekend, I think, as well. So it's a nice one that you see quite often, and I think that helps motivate me to get it out and keep chipping away at it. I think we worked out Emma's slightly ahead of me, so that might also be motivating me to keep pushing on. Just not lose the magnets stick. There we go. Cool. Next up we have Nouveau. I kind of struggled to pick this one up this month, and I'm not really sure why. I think I got back into the headspace of it's all confetti and I can't be bothered with beige confetti. But in reality, it's not. I need to remember that GeckoRouge charting it's very rarely just confetti. It's very rarely ninja stitches. It might be a little bit of sort of scattered stitching, but I don't hate that. I think I just hate swapping colours a lot. So this is Nouveau. And the area I worked in was all of this sort of purpley colour down the side. So I did a single colour. I can't remember how many stitches I needed to put into this. I want to say like either 600 or 800, but all of them were that one colour, just blitzed down that whole area. So I'm really not doing very well with the keeping things in shot, am I? So this one isn't due to get any stitches this month. Marika Stitches is the floss tuber for this one, and she didn't post any videos in February. I think she's not been feeling very well. So this one will be on pause for now, but that's kind of fine because we're not that far off of Monogamous May, where I'm going to work on this. I'm still leaning towards it being this, but I'm planning to work on one of my full coverages full-time monogamously. So she will get some work. I did look back as well, and I think last year I got almost 9% just in Monogamous May. I think it was like 8.88% or something. And being real, if I'd realised that was the percentage, I probably would have pushed on for another 0.12% just to make it a nice round number. And my goal for that is at least 10% each year. So if Monogamous May is going to cross off literally 90%, the stitching on it for Flosstube Frenzy will top up that last 1% pretty easily. It might already have. No, it'll be like 0.5% that's already done, so that will easily get crossed off in the rest of the year. Next up, so this one is aligned with Sherry from Just So Sherry because she stitched the same project in the same kind of colourway. This is Quaker Snowflakes by Hello from Liz Matthews even. And I'm stitching this fully beaded, so you can kind of see the little beads in there. So this month we added that start of a tree at the bottom in a new colour, which I think is quite subtle. I was a bit worried at one point that it wasn't going to look right, but I think when the rest of it's in, it'll be fine. And then I'm trying to remember what I did. I think this motif is new, and then a bunch of the little doodads and a bit more of the border. I really enjoy working on this. I pop it in a Q-snap on my nudge. All of those words were wrong. Put it in a nudge hoop on my Lowry stand. I don't even own a Q-snap. I don't know where Q-snap came from. But I put it in a frame, have it on my Lowry, and I stitch it two-handed. I try and do that for all my beading. I just find it really easy and enjoyable and therapeutic. yeah, Sherry's posted 3 videos this month, so I'm doing 100 stitches or 100 beads per video, so this will get another 300, and if we keep chipping away at it, if Sherry keeps posting most weeks, we should get that one done before Christmas, which is nice. It's nice that one of these has a finish goal in sight. Next up we have Twisted Band Sampler. So this one is aligned to Rachel from Talking Dog Stitchery because she is also working on this project and she's where I first saw it and got the sort of inspiration to start it myself. So this week or this month we did this band here. I think originally it was maybe up to about here, so the whole of the rest of that band is new, and then, oh, wrong way, I think a couple of stitches on this one, just to finish off a thread. One thing I found with this is the specialty stitches, because there's quite often like many small stitches in one specialty stitch, it eats through the stitch target really fast. So I think I actually went over on this one. But I'm not opposed to that. Like, these goals from Flosstube Frenzy, they're not, as you'll see in a minute, they're not like they did one video, which means you do exactly 200 stitches and you don't go over. Like, if the point is to make me get these projects out and get progress on them, if I've got one out and I'm really feeling it, I'm gonna keep going. It's yeah, we're gonna keep chipping away. So yeah, I think I went over because I did half of the band and was like, well, that was 3/4 of my stitches, and I kind of want to do more than that. I don't want to do, like, it'll take me forever if I'm doing like 3 or 4 inches of half of one band each month. We'll be here for literally years, and I do want this finished. I want to hang it up in my house. So yeah, this one, Rachel, I think, only posted 1 video this month, but she did show Twisted Band with some progress, so that means some bonus stitches. I think 400 in total between the video and her having progress on this. So 400 stitches will be going into this. This one is also in March Madness, which again I'll come back to in plans. So this will get at least an extra day, and then if it wins the first round, it will go on and have potentially more stitchy time. So that's that one. Wriggle back a bit. Okay, penultimate Flosstube Frenzy. So this one is The Legend of Freya by Bella Filipina. I'm stitching this on silk organza with 18 count waist canvas. So all of this white will disappear and it will be like she's floating. This one is aligned with Kat from Catkin and Lily because Rachel and I started this as a SAL together, and a bunch of other people have joined since. But yeah, Kat was one of that initial 3, and I already had Rachel down for Twisted Band. I kind of struggled to pick this one up, to be honest. I think because of the organza, when I'm doing these sort of edge bits, I have to be really conscious and thoughtful about where I'm traveling. So even if I literally have no idea how to explain this. If I use project bags. If I have 2 stitches diagonally from each other, I have to be really thoughtful where I travel. If there's not a stitch here and here, I can't travel from this corner to this corner, because when I pull out the waist canvas, that will essentially be see-through organza and you'll be able to see the travel. So I have to make sure that the travel goes through the corner where they touch so that it's kind of hidden. And sometimes, depending on how the stitches are laid out, that can be quite tricky to think through, like, should I do like a half stitch here and then travel up and do the half stitch here to then travel back through that diagonal corner again? It takes a little bit more thought and concentration, and also it's all bloody Krynic. Like, all of these twiddly bits And all of these twiddly bits, they're all Krynic, which I don't love stitching with anyway. I find it's more prone to tangling on the back, and I can't just be like, oh, it's fine, I'll leave it, because again, that tangle will show through if it's not perfectly behind the stitches. And also there's like multiple colours, so each of these sticky out bits has 3 different colours of Krynic, and it is sort of progressive, so you've got the white coming out and then a pale purple and then a darker purple, but it also means there's lots of tails to tuck, which again, every time I tuck a tail, because Krynic is quite textured, I guess, as it goes through, if I tucked a tail in the other direction under those same stitches, tucking one tail can sort of snag and untuck the other tail, so it's just really fiddly. So I did a little bit, I did some of these bits at the top, but I think what I've been trying to do is almost typewriter method, which is a bit weird on a project like this with scattered stitches at the top, but picking whatever colour is closest to the top and just working it all the way down. But that does mean that it was like 4 colours in a row of Krynic and I just couldn't face it. So I came down and did a lot of these like oranges and reds, came down and did this grey down the nose of the seahorse. So yeah, I think next time hopefully I'll be in a bit more of a headspace for some focus stitching and I can just smash through the rest of that Krynic and get those edges done. I think obviously this top part is like a lot of edge across her hair, across the seahorse, down the seahorse's nose, but I think below this point there's obviously her whole body and the seahorse's body that will be a better middle to edge ratio, if that makes sense. Like it'll obviously still have an edge down the front of the seahorse and an edge down the back of Freya, but there'll be more like meat of it in the middle where I can just be a bit more zoned out. Because here, like for example here, there's a tail here, but I almost don't care because there'll be more stitching that will fully cover that area. So that will either get trapped under some other stitches and you won't be able to see that the same, like because it's covered by the other stitches, or the other stitches will cover the fabric and this will stick out on the back and you still won't see it. So we're getting there with this. I think I'm just at one of those awkward parts that's just a bit more fiddly and I just wasn't feeling that this month, but we got there. We did the stitch goal. So the very last of the Flosstube Frenzy ones. So this is, to be blunt, where most of my stitching went this month. So for all of the others, I did maybe the goal and then finished a thread, or the goal and finished off the colour that I was working on B, for example. But basically I did the goal, rounded up a little bit. For this one, I did the goal and was like, oh, I'm sad that was it. So I kept going. So at the start of the month, this had, I think, this little round diblet, and I think some of this outlining around that. So we went from about 250 stitches to about 5,500 stitches. And I'll be real, I'm not mad about it. I love it. I really like this pattern. Only has, I think, 13 colours. I've got my little swatch on the corner there. So I'm kind of tempted to change this one up a tiny bit. I should have said this one is aligned to Anna the Alchemist Stitcher, who came up with the concept of Flosstube Frenzy. I'm really tempted to adjust my plan for this, and instead of doing 200 stitches when she posts a video, just do a colour. This colour is the one with the most stitches. So we've chugged through the hard part, or most of the hard part. There is a moon, you'll be able to see it on the little preview of the finish. There's a moon that goes behind the handle of the blade, and Sherry from Just So Sherry has very kindly sent me a second skein of chalkboard from Roxy Floss, which is what I've used for this darkest colour. Because I only had one skein, I didn't realise how much of it I was going to get through. So I could add that moon in the darkest colour as the pattern suggests. I'm also kind of loosely still debating putting it in a moon colour, like a pale yellow with some variegation in it. I think for now I'm going to leave the moon and come back to it later. Yeah, so coming back to the swatch, I think I've decided, much as I liked my swatch, I don't know if it will show up. So the CB at the top there is chalkboard, and then the next two down, 3021 and 844, they actually look alright on camera, but in person they're a bit more brown. And it turns out that coming up with a 13 colour true grayscale colour palette with just DMC threads is really hard. And when you look at 3799 and 310, for example, although 3799 is a very dark grey, that's still quite a jump. So I really struggled with that top end, having it have enough colours, I guess. So at the weekend, Rachel very kindly bought, I asked her to raid her shop and bring along all of the like darker than 3799 greys from across the different brands that she sells. So we, the Airbnb we stayed in had like a lovely little sort of, greenhouse isn't the right word, what's the word? Conservatory. Like a greenhouse for people was where my brain was going with that. But we laid them all out. Some of them had too much variegation and would have kind of messed with the grayscale. Some of them were like too purple toned or too brown toned or blue toned, but we found a couple that we thought fit. So one of them is Classic ColourWorks London Fog, and the other one is Classic ColourWorks as well. I know it starts with an A, a B or a C because Rachel pointed out that I already have a skein of it from my thread club, but we took a photo. But I think the plan is to go, so chalkboard, London Fog, 3799, and then slot in the other colour. So 3799 is essentially bumping up one place in this colour scheme. So I need to swatch and check that I'm happy with those stitched up, because obviously how a thread looks on the skein, how it looks stitched can be a little bit different. But assuming that goes well, London Fog will be going into this project this month. And yeah, couple of things that I didn't say. I have made the decision to not include the sort of fade out background that sits behind this. And I think since my whip braid, I've also decided I'm going to take out these sort of cobwebby drip bits around the outside, purely because the pattern is charted with the background fully stitched in white. So those bits are quite often like going into the pale greys so that it's like a very subtle line on a white background. But I think having a very subtle line, should I say, on the purple background will basically be like, why is there a random white line or very pale grey line across it? I just can't be bothered with trying to make that work. So we're sacking them off. We're just doing the controller, the blade and the moon. So I have no idea what percentage I am on this because I'm not stitching a whole bunch. Like I'm not stitching the white background, I'm not stitching the fade. And there's no easy way to figure that out on Pattern Keeper. So we're winging it. I'm one colour out of 13 down, and every single colour is gonna have fewer stitches actually stitched than the pattern says. So I can't even be like, I'm just gonna disregard the white stitches for the background because all of the colours are in that grey fade out background. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes, see how we get on across the year. This is going to be eventually a gift for my little brother. So I've not said like it's going to be a gift for Christmas or for his birthday or anything like that. I'm just going to see when it's done and he'll get it for the next gift giving celebration after that. But with so few colours, it'll be interesting to see how far through it we get during the year. So that one's that. And just because it's shiny and new, we have a very cute new project bag from Carpe Textiles from Sophie. She was also at this little getaway weekend that I was at this weekend just gone, and she very kindly made all of us matching project bags, so super cute. Right, so that is all the Flosstube frenzy. In terms of the upcoming month, the way that I'm planning to manage my stitching, I am doing March Madness, which again I will come back to properly in plans, but that involves like it will give me a project to work on for a day. The way I'm planning to manage it is I start work at 11, so my morning stitching will be on Flosstube Frenzy or WIPgo or FFOing or like other things, and then my evening will be my like dedicated March Madness time. So I will chip away at these during the mornings. Also, March Madness doesn't, like, it's not 31 days long this year. We've reined it in a little bit. So there will be days that are like non-March Madness days, where if I finish March Madness, I can work on the winner. If I haven't, I can just have a dedicated day working on these. So yeah. There are also, as I said, fewer overall stitches. I don't have it handy, but I think last month there was something like 4,800 stitches across all the projects. And obviously that's a bit of a moot point when I've done like 20 times the stitch goal on one of them. But this month there are a couple where there's been no videos, so there's no stitches to do on those projects. And just in general, everyone posted a little bit less. So I think the goal, the total goal is 3,200 plus whatever I end up doing on this, be that a colour or not. I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, slightly lower stitch goal, which I'm kind of happy with because we have that March Madness to balance it with this month. Next up, we have my one non-goal theme project. This is my Always Bring Cross Stitch project. It's called Going Into a Spiral by Plastic Little Covers, and as you can see I draw on the black heat erasable pen to show me where to stitch, and this becomes my, like, I think I took it to the hair salon. I can't even think where else I took it. It came out quite a few times. Genuinely can't think where though. But I think we got all of these done. I think I got the rest of Going done, all of these sort of outside motifs, and then a little bit of the end of anything. So we're making good progress on this. I think having a project like this where it's got the pattern drawn on and it's got a single colour is just, I love it. It's so easy to just grab and go. When all of this that's currently drawn on is finished, I am then going to swap this over to not be a travel project because the rest is going to be beaded, which I don't know what my hairdresser would do if I got beads out in the middle of having my hair done, but I'm not going to find out. So at that point I'll need to have a rummage through my WIPs, or maybe look at a new start that's a good travel project, maybe a monochrome one or something. But this is the project bag that Carpe Acus, the little pouch, now lives in. Let me pop that away while I'm here. So this just lives in the bag so that it's ready to grab and go. And I've got 310 is the one thread colour that I keep a second floss drop of. Everything else lives in my master set, but the 310, I think I originally had this for when I was doing my embroidery journal that I did all in black. although I'm now questioning that because I don't think I did do that in black. No, I did the symbols in black and the dotted line in between in colour. So this originally was in that bag. It's currently living in this one. Yeah, it's just handy having that spare skein of black to live in a project bag. So that is, just checking before I tell a lie, that is all of the stitching for this month. So very briefly, a bit of a rundown of plans. I mentioned it a couple of times. So March Madness has already kicked off. I'll put up my bracket on the screen. I have picked 10 of my whips, and if you want to see my process for picking that, my whip parade from 2 weeks ago now, I think, I basically, as I went through my whips in chronological order, I sort of said this one is going in, this one isn't, and I explained why. So yeah, go check that out if you want to see the sort of planning process for March Madness. For anyone who hasn't heard of it, very briefly, the idea of March Madness, you put your whips into a bit of a bracket tournament. Most people do this with 8, so you have a pair of projects that you work on for a day each, and then you put a vote up on your Instagram stories and let people vote for which one they want to go on to the next round. You do that for your 4 pairs of projects, you get your 4 winners, and they go into 2 new pairings, they face off again, you get your 2 finalists, and you eventually end up with a winner. I think the original concept of this was by the Steel City Stitchers, and their sort of setup was they picked small projects that are close enough to finishing that you get to your winner halfway through the month, and then you aim to FFO, finish and FFO the project by the end of March. I'm not putting that constraint on it, but I have tended to pick smaller projects. So I picked 10 whips, I've added 2 new starts, so both of them are sort of continuations of a series that I've already started. One is Chalet in the Snow, which I've already started, that was yesterday's project, which is by Flossabilities to go with my cabin in the woods that I finished last year. And then the other is the Rainbow Band Sampler to go with my Twisted Band Sampler. I've told myself for ages that I have to finish one before I start the other, but I'm too excited. I've got the threads, I've got the fabrics, why not? And also I've timed it so that that lands on my birthday because I started Twisted Band Sampler for my birthday a couple of years ago. So it was just too perfect an alignment to not go for that. So because I've got 12, I'm doing them in like little groups. So I'll work on 3 projects for the 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and then there'll be a vote on my Instagram stories on the 4th. But there'll be 1 winner from that. So from round 2, it will be back down to like the normal structure of 4 whips in 2 pairs. As I said, I'm planning to work on other stuff in the morning and then March Madness in the afternoons. But the reason that I've done it a lot smaller this year is in the middle of March I've got a week of travel, so I'm going to see my mum for Mother's Day, I'm going to see my friend Flo and meet her new baby, which I'm very excited for the cuddles, and then myself and Beth from Stitch with Beth Chadwick here on YouTube, we're going to Disneyland for a couple of days to celebrate my birthday, which I'm also very excited for. And then we're coming back and meeting up with Goo and I think also Alice and going to Stitch Fest in London. So there's basically like a solid week where like I'm just all over the country, out of the country, back, shopping. I'm going to be knackered, but the upside of doing fewer whips this year is I don't have to do March Madness every day. So I'm going to start off that way, but from about 2 weeks into March, we might just have a week off. I will take stitching with me for that travel because I'll have like evening in a hotel after seeing my mum for Mother's Day, and like evening in the hotel the night before we fly. Like there'll be times that I want to stitch like on the flight. That'll be my travel project. There will be times that I get to stitch, but it might not be practical to take whatever happens to be next up on March Madness. So we're going to be flexible, but if you want to be involved in that, make sure you're following me on Instagram. and keep an eye on the stories. So my other plan for the month is to test out some new full coverage techniques. One of my original Flosstube Frenzy projects, which I've sort of haven't worked on because Beth hasn't posted a video yet, but also because I'm not sure about my fabric. I really want, I'll put it up, the project is Love by Aida Art, and I really want a tent stitch project. I quite want it to be one strand because I just don't love working with 2 strands. So I've tried 2 strands tent on 25 count, and I didn't love the coverage and I didn't love the 2 strands. So we're going small. I feel slightly insane saying this. I watched this, is it Stitching Mummy? My brain can't pronounce Stitching Mummy. I struggle to pronounce that in like the American mommy way. But anyway, she does 1/1 tent on 40 count. So I have here some 32 count pre-gridded. We've got some 36 count and 40 count, both of which aren't gridded because that doesn't exist apparently. If anyone knows where you can get 36 or 40 count gridded, please let me know. But what I'm going to do is like a bit of a swatch on all of these of 1 strand tent stitch. I'm going to do it with both DMC and I've got some CXC 310. If I like the CXC, I might just use that for the darkest colours, just for the added coverage. And then for the lighter stuff, I don't mind if it's a little bit more DMC like than CXC. So yeah, that is one plan. What else? I want to continue finishing off some FFOs because they are all over the table upstairs. Like it's easier to just do them than it is to try and put away half planned FFOs. And then the very last thing, I've said before that I was gonna do like saying what the theme was for the following month. So like, you already know it's March Madness for March, so saying what the April theme was, so if anyone wants to join in, you've got a month of warning. I'm really struggling with April. So last year I did the Abandoned Sal August, which was Kenny Stitch's idea for his birthday. I'm tempted to bring that forwards because I've got the bee with the gecko, get your gecko out hashtag. We've got Freya for Freya Fridays, which I've been horribly neglecting. We've got the Greenhouse of Oddities. We've got a couple of sals that I just didn't finish on time that it would be great to put some progress into. My other idea, and also Twisted Band Sampler because I started that with the Stitch the Rainbow sal. My other idea was I kind of think it's the time of year where it's nice to have something nice and colourful. I cannot for the life of me find a word that means colourful that starts with an A. The closest I've got is All Things Bright April, to work on like the bright coloured projects. But yeah, I'm throwing it out to you guys if you have any ideas, bearing in mind there's April and August, so even if I don't use some of these ideas now, they might come back round for August. But yeah, any theme ideas for April, ideally that start with the letter A, because it makes my brain happy. I think that's everything, so I'm going to leave it there before this gets any longer. Thank you for watching. I hope you've seen something you liked. I hope you've got lots of lovely stitching done whilst you've been watching. And I will, happy stitching for the rest of March, and I will see you next time. Bye!